Welcome, everybody, to a brand new episode of The Horror of It All, brought to you by Lights, Camera, Pop. I'm Richard Graves, and I am happy to be back with you guys, the Walmart dad of horror, coming at you. And it's so surreal. It's been a moment. I've been wanting to do this again, and here it is. I've been waiting for it, and, July 5th, because we know 4th of July is coming up. July 5th, I really think, for the most part, begins the holiday season of Halloween. And horror never really leaves my heart. So I've been wanting to bring this show back. And I may have some different guest hosts with me periodically, but you're going to get a little bit more Lights, Camera, Pop throughout the week with an edition of The Horror of It All. And joining me today is my guest host for the moment is Brian the Misfit. How's it going, man?
It's going pretty good. How are you doing yourself?
Pretty good. And just a little backstory who has never heard this before. Like, this is the iteration of the original The Horror of It All. Because when I originally approached you about this, and wanted to do a horror show, wanted to do a podcast, just nothing but horror. And you were like, oh yeah, we're down. We even somewhere, well, now I can tell you it is not a thing. Because I said that somewhere out there is a single episode that we recorded.
Yeah.
However, that episode, along with many of the other episodes, was on a laptop that got destroyed and taken away when I had moved from my home a year ago. And I went to, it was, what day was it? It was during the release, it was the anniversary of Killer Clowns from Outer Space a couple weeks ago. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go and I'm going to release the episode as like a classic episode, and I'm gonna do it with put up the one I did with why is his name blanking on me? Herod Blank. I guess Blank. But Herod Blank, he played Rudy. He was the clown performer in Rudy.
Yeah.
And I had him on the show back then, and I was gonna release it as a classic episode, give a little intro. And when I went on my laptop, I'm going through all the files. I'm going, where the hell is it? And then I remembered at that time I used a different laptop. So a lot of my episodes that I had are now gone. And it makes me so sad because I had some really good ones. And I think it was two of the ones that really hurt the most was Ryan Lambert from the Monster Squad. And Jason Newlander from The Lost Boys. Those two really hurt because I think those were some of the ones that were pretty pinnacle of me starting out doing this. But so now I'm just on to making new memories and everything like that. So how's everything going with you? Are you excited to be doing the horror show?
Yeah, this is awesome.
Dude,
you kidding me?
I'm so excited for today's episode because this is an episode that was supposed to happen 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago now. And I'm really bummed out about it. Back then I was. Now I'm really excited. But so we had a big tornado that came through last week, 3 weeks ago. Knocked down a tree, knocked down our power for a little more than 24 hours. And it was a nightmare. The tree is technically still in my fence from my neighbor's yard. And it's finally getting removed tomorrow. So, today, nice. As this is being listened to from our audience, know that there is a tree getting uprooted and taken out tomorrow. Let me just give a brief little intro that I had written. So today's guest is an independent filmmaker, writer, producer, director, horror creator who has spent years championing for the indie horror, both behind the camera and within the filmmaking community. From his debut feature, Hallows Eve, and I hope I get all this correct. From his debut feature, Hallows Eve, on 2nd Street in 2008, to the volumes of Blood Anthology series, 13 Slays Till Christmas, 1031 Part 3, and most recently, New Fear's Eve. He's built a reputation for creating fun, practical effects driven horror while helping bring together filmmakers from across the independent horror scene. So, whether he's directing, writing, producing, or supporting fellow creators, his passion for independent horror is evident in everything that he does. Please welcome to the show, PJ Starks. And if I had,
Hello.
at this point, I would have some kind of like sound effect with applause, but and this time it'll just be us. Yay! How's it going, PJ?
It's okay. It's going. How are you?
Real good, real good. I'm so happy to have you on. I just watched New Fear's Eve, like maybe about a week, close to a week before we had recorded. And the next day I went to work, and I am telling everybody about this movie. It is such a fun slasher, and it's like an homage to like really the 80s mom and pop video store slashers. And it's just so fun. But we'll get into that in a little bit. I do want to talk to you earlier in the beginnings of your career before all this. Do you always realize that you wanted to be a filmmaker? When was that moment for you that you decided this is what I want to do?
I mean, originally I started wanting to do acting and writing. And then when I realized I wasn't a great actor, I focused more on the writing. And then really it was when I was in my teens so I got a video camera. And then that's when I started really focusing on like the visual storytelling aspects. Mm-hmm. So really it's been since I was around 12 years old.
Was there a certain movie that kind of pivoted you into that direction? Like, have you always wanted to be in the, like, what drew you to acting as well?
I think it was just playing characters. Really, I wanted to, even before that, I wanted to be like a comedian, and I liked making people laugh. I still like doing that. And it was playing roles that would like get a reaction. Mm-hmm. And then, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
No, you're good.
So I guess then when I realized that, acting was not really, probably would not be my shtick. 'Cause like I said, I don't really consider myself much of an actor. Like I said a minute ago, I was really focusing on the whole like writing and the visual portions, and I completely lost what your original question was.
Yeah, well, we tend to go off on tangents.
I'm really bad about that.
No, I was just mainly asking what was the movie that made you say, this is what.
Oh, that's right. The movie. See, I'm kind of an OG horror fan. I've been watching horror since I was probably about 5. Mm-hmm. My parents were pretty cool, so they let me watch stuff that I probably should not have been watching at that age. I would say it started with Ghostbusters, which is not, it's not considered a horror film, but really it's got a lot of horror elements.
You are absolutely correct.
Possession and things of that nature. So, but as far as like a movie that made me say like, I want to be a filmmaker, I don't know if it was any one particular movie as much as it was just the idea of making movies, telling stories that would make people, and I'm not going to say that I've made a movie that's made people fall in love with movies, but I think that's kind of was ultimately the goal, because I grew up on stuff even outside the horror genre, The Goonies, and
well, even The Goonies has some horror elements to it as well. I mean, just the whole
Yeah,
like aspect of the pirate ship, and like even when they're in the attic and they find the map, like that's kind of a terrifying scene because you have these kids in an attic, the thunder's crashing and outside, the lightning's going. I mean, it
right.
kind of draws you in.
Right. Well, and you also have the sloth character, which
Oh,
in some weird ways is he's kind of a hulking beast, even though he is human,
right, for sure, and
and turns out to be a good guy.
which is very rare at that point. But what
Like he's kind of Jason Voorhees without the mask and without wanting to murder a bunch of
Yeah.
camp
well,
counselors.
right. Um, well, and I love that you said Ghostbusters too, because like I've always said that Ghostbusters and Gremlins, I think, are two horror adjacent films that are gateways that you can
Oh, I
easily
agree.
introduce your kids to and kind of progress from there. And Brian, I know I touched a nerve on that one because you are a Gremlins fan.
Big, big Gremlins fan. Yep.
Well, originally the
So
original
what are your
script.
thoughts on the fact that they've been talking about how they're in pre-production on a Gremlins 3?
Oh man, I feel bad for whoever's writing that script. Just be careful. That's all I gotta say. There's
Right.
me. Where there's one Gremlin fan, good God, there's a whole horde just like the real Gremlins.
Mm-hmm. And
I actually back in it's probably middle school, I wrote a script for Gremlins 3.
Did you?
that's
Yeah,
amazing.
and it basically it was Billy's son. Like they had a kid
Yeah.
and they still had uh Gizmo.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he decides to to sneak Gizmo into school one day just to kind of show all of his friends.
That, yeah.
And there is a kid who plays a trick, or he goes to play a prank, and he turns on the fire system, and the
Oh,
sprinkler system is activated.
Oh no.
that's how it starts.
And yeah, so and then it multiplies, and then the gremlins start. So it becomes a whole thing in a school, but this time instead of the focus being on like Billy and all that, it was their child.
Oh, I
That's
have
not a
so many
bad
thoughts
idea at
about that.
all. We kind of had hints. I can't think of his character's name, but there's a kid, Corey. A lot of people forget Corey Feldman was also in
Yeah, he was
Gremlins.
in the first movie.
Yeah,
He
yeah, he
is.
was.
The
He
Christmas
was.
tree salesman.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was selling tree. He had the little tree outfit. And so yeah, I think that would actually be, especially now, like if you did something, if they were to do it nowadays, like a kid, like I mean, like that would be kind of cool. Like kids have show and tell, like guys, check out what I got. Whoa.
So, like, the only issue we're see this is already we're already going off topic or anything, but this
Uh,
is what I love. This is what I love
we
about
we
doing
do
these
this all
shows.
the time. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah. So, the only thing that I would wonder where it would lead to is how would you get from the Mogwai to the Gremlins if they can't eat till after midnight and it's during school hours?
Mm.
That's
Oh, they get into the cafeteria. Well, that's true. I don't know if it. I don't. To be honest, I don't fully remember the script, but I think it was more than just a single day.
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I
Because
like
I
that.
think what it was is like they got into the school cafeteria overnight,
I like that idea. I like
and
that
then
touch.
That would be
and
smart.
then he brings Gizmo back home. Gizmo, knowing what's going on, sneaks himself back to school the very next day,
Mm.
and by then they have turned into the eggs because they're becoming the gremlins.
Oh,
And of course, yeah, there was like a whole school lockdown thing that happened. I don't remember how I made that work in the
I love that idea though, dude.
it
Like that's a
probably was
great idea.
and honestly it probably was not a great script.
Listen, so I did that a while too, but it was for after Batman and Robin came out. That I was so because like I was a comic book fan, I collected comics
Right.
all the time for years since I was a kid, and I was a huge Batman fan. And so and Keaton's Batman was great. Returns was okay, but it wasn't my favorite, but it was good. But then Forever, I thought Forever was fun, but they just started to stray so far from what the comics were that like when Batman and Robin came out, I was just like, oh, this is the nightmare. So I actually wrote a screenplay to kind of get real things back in where I paralyzed. I mean, had to change some things because Schumacher messed everything else up. But I had to I paralyzed Barbara Gordon from Killer Croc, and the
Nice.
Mad Hatter was in it, and the ventriloquist.
Oh man.
Because I wanted characters that, and even back then, that's what I always like. I like when movies use characters that isn't so oversaturated. Like, how many more Batman movies are we going to get with the Joker? And I'm
Thank
just
you.
like,
Right.
Thank
I
you.
want, give me the ventriloquist. Give me Professor Pig. Like,
Yeah.
those are characters I would like to see because they don't get enough love. But
No.
so when you started, we're gonna reel things back in here now. But so when you first started making films and you had was it like one of those big over the shoulder camcorders?
Yeah, it was an RCA camcorder. So
Oh,
I mean it wasn't like a huge giant, but it was one that you know was shoulder mounted.
right.
And it didn't have like the battery pack belt that you had to connect it to. I'm not that old. But
I'm sorry,
it was
that's
the
just
kind of
me.
battery you snap onto it. Yeah. So
Oh my
yeah,
god.
because this would have been like uh probably like 94, 95
Okay.
in that time frame.
So how did you go about when you were in doing your little films from that? How did you get into editing or anything like that?
I edited everything in camera.
Oh
So
wow.
it was a
Jeez.
situation where we would do a take and then I would watch it on the because it wasn't an LCD, so it didn't have the LCD screen. It was the like the eyepiece, so I couldn't even hear the audio, but I
Oh.
would have to rewind it back and know what point I stopped, and then I would have to. Then we would get a different shot, pull everybody back, like put them in place, and then I would say, okay. And we had it down to a science where I would hit the record button, say action, and everybody would know they had to wait like 2 seconds and then start moving again. And that's how I did everything originally. And then the music, it had this like dub over option on the camera, so I would put the music on the video via the camera, and I would do all that after we filmed everything.
Dude, you are like
Wow.
you were kindred
Oh yeah,
spirits. You were kindred spirits with Robert Rodriguez. Because I tell you what, like, have you ever read Robert Rodriguez's book, Rebel Without a
no,
Crew?
I haven't.
Dude, this is like if you ever get a chance, it's on Spotify as an audiobook and he reads it. Dude, like everything you just said is what he did. And I'm so like I'm so like wow, I'm just like I'm blown away right now because that is seriously in awe because like I don't know if I would even have the patience to do that, let alone
Yeah.
Right.
so I
Well,
mean
I mean, at the time, it was one of those things where it's like that was what was available, you know, and
right.
that was how we did it. So it was always a matter of like finding a way to make it happen or make it work.
Hmm.
So, and plus, I loved it, and you know, like that's what I was into, and that's what I wanted to do. So,
So
um,
was
so I wouldn't say it was a patience thing. It was because I really enjoyed it, you
right.
know.
I like that. No, was horror just because I know you said that you also like to make people laugh and everything. Was horror pretty much though like a constant afterthought for you?
Like making horror.
Yeah, yeah.
No, I wasn't. I wouldn't. So horror was always like my first. Was always my first love in terms of um, whenever I would go rent a movie or something, it was almost always horror. Um, and then occasionally, I would say the next genre was always comedy. Growing up, most of the movies that me and my friends made or whatever, it was almost always um, comedy. And even then, the early feature length projects that I did, whether it was for school or when I had college classes and stuff, um, it would always it was a lot of it was comedy.
Okay.
It wasn't until later that I really started to get into the horror genre as far as like making. But I always grew up like gravitating towards horror or the horror. I read Fangoria magazine and Gore
Oh yeah.
Zone, and um, I grew up on horror because of my grandmother. We called her Gigi. Her real name was Almeida, but like she was, if you were to see her, she looked very much like your atypical Norman Rockwell
Okay.
vision of what a grandmother was. But she was a huge horror fan and sci-fi, um, true crime. She was into stuff like that. So I was kind of her scary movie buddy. So anytime I watched a scary movie or rented a scary movie, usually it was her and I watching it
Yeah.
because I spent a
That's
lot of time
awesome.
over at my grandparents' house, which my best friend at the time, he lived right down the street, and he was the one that I made growing up most of the movies with. And then, of course, I had some friends later in high school that I got close to and had similar sensibilities in terms of interests and stuff. So had our own little group.
Nice.
So oh man, I just had like a mental brain fart there for a second. Oh, so was your parents, were they supportive in you wanting to pursue filmmaking? Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes it's
My
hard to.
my dad wasn't really in the picture, but my mom very much was. Like she was really into the arts. She did a lot of theater growing up in high
Oh,
school and then
nice.
into like college. That's what she went to school for was theater and acting. Um, so so yeah, so as far as like me wanting to be a filmmaker, she was extremely supportive. And then my grandparents were the ones who got me the video camera. So they too were like another support system in terms of, you know,
They said, "Here,
knowing this was kind of the direction I wanted to go. Yeah.
make your dreams happen."
Correct.
I love that. Um, so when you started doing your first feature, how challenging was it to do your first feature from doing all the RCA videos that you had done?
I mean, technically the first feature film I did was for a college class, and even then we were still doing it was by then I had moved up into linear
Okay.
editing systems, but still it was like, deck to deck.
Right.
So um but I had moved up from VHS to Super VHS. So yeah, so my first movie was, I would say what made it challenging was it was more just a series of ideas of like comedy skits, and then I had to figure out a way to make it into like a full feature film because I told my professor, I was like, because we were supposed to do a 30-second commercial, and we kind of already did those things in the classes, and I said I don't really want to do that. We already do that for assignments. Like, what I want to do is I want to make a movie. And he was like, how much time you're gonna have to put into doing something like that, with the planning and then production and post production.
Hmm.
And I said, yeah, that's no problem. So that's what I did. And I made a movie called Third Shift because I was working third shift at the Fairfield Inn at the time.
Oh
So that ended up
wow.
being, that was the movie. It was about this guy who worked third shift. And then right before this particular shift, he gets dumped by his girlfriend. So he spends the night sulking and then running into all these like crazy tenants and customers and stuff. So, and
That it sounds like such an
uh,
awesome premise.
well, and the funny, so what's the thing is like, despite the fact that I'm mostly, I do horror filmmaking, I'm heavily inspired by Kevin Smith. Like I have been a fan of his since, the 90s. So
Mm-hmm.
the movie that made me go, oh, maybe I can do this. Maybe I could, even if I'm not doing it like for a living, I could still make movies and potentially something could come out of it, was after having watched Clerks.
Amen.
And if you watch Third Shift, about 75% of the movie's in black and white.
Oh, I
It's
love it.
cheaper.
It's, well, it was, I mean, for him, I know that's what he was saying, is that black and white film, but I mean, I was working with tape. So there
Right.
wasn't
Oh,
like, yeah, so it wasn't, so for me, it was an artistic
Right.
uh, decision. So it was also, I was, like I said, I was heavily influenced, the poop and fart jokes and stuff like that, the zany characters and things. So that was how that came to be.
So, and I'll just to add on to that on myself is uh, Clerks was the movie that I had saw that made me say, "Oh, this is possible." Because I'm from a small town in Pennsylvania. I always wanted to be a filmmaker, and what led me into horror, wanting to make horror films, was the Toxic Avenger. Because, like having cool parents and everything like that, I had no business at being 8 years old watching the Toxic Avenger.
Right.
But I got it. I understood it and was like, oh, that watermelon scene or the head crushing scene with the car. Like I gotta
Oh
know how they
yeah,
did that.
that's the one scene I remember out of the whole entire movie growing up,
Yeah.
because like nothing disturbs me anymore, but I can remember vividly the stuff from movies that did disturb me growing up, like the demon coming out of the girl's back in Demons, the head
Yes.
crushing scene in Toxic Avenger. Um, oh, what was the other one? Oh, the very first real graphic zombie biting shot from Dawn of the Dead.
Oh,
ooh.
beautiful.
Even though now when you look at it, you're like, clearly he's biting like what looks to be foam.
Right.
But yeah, but when you're like 7 and you're watching it, you're like, oh shit, he just bit that girl's shoulder off.
and and you're right. And that but see, that wasn't the movie that, like, that scene there, that wasn't the one that disturbed me. The one that disturbed me, and I still say it to this day, it terrified me as a kid, was when in the first Poltergeist, when the one scientist was in the bathroom and he started to pick at a pimple, and all
Oh,
of a sudden he starts ripping flesh off of his face until it's
Right.
just a skull. And I was just like, that freaked me out.
yep.
um but I grew up watching Fulci, like, of course, Romero, things like that, Argento. So but that was the one that really, like, bugged me out for whatever reason it was. um but yeah, so it was Toxic Avenger for me, and then Clerks was like, I this could actually be done. But at the time, there was no way that I could become a of course, I wasn't really pushed into the direction of being a filmmaker. So I just kind of like had to live off of hopes and dreams for it. So in the meantime, I'm just writing stuff just to write them. And
Right.
but when I saw Clerks, I was like, yes, this could actually be done, and it's by somebody like me. So, and you get that too. So it shows like, and I will say like from New Year's Eve, New Fear's Eve, I can you oh my god, like there are so many things that I was catching going, oh, th- this is like so like if Smith made a horror film and Jeff Anderson and Brian O'Halloran were the main characters, this would be it. And I absolutely
Well, it makes
love
me very
those.
happy to think like that's what was going through your mind.
It really was because as I'm watching, there was like this scene where they were in the break room, and the way you had wrote it, the dialogue is just so smooth, going back and forth between the two. I'm like, they might as well just be sitting in a convenience store right now. And
Right.
I pointed that out to I'm going, this is amazing. I love it. But before I start talking about that too, how did you get involved with 1031? Because like that film series is so good. And I got to talk to Zane Hershberger for before, and such a nice dude. And yeah, just everything about that. I love anthologies. Like I am a whore for horror anthologies, and
Right.
1031 is a really good one to get into.
So, so I'd created this one called Volumes of Blood. We shot at the Davis County Public Library. We ended up going on and making the sequel. And at the time that we were making the sequel, I was looking around for other filmmakers to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
And I caught wind of The Barn.
Yes.
So I first got in touch with Zane. Zane then got me in touch with Justin and then worked it all out. And so Zane and Justin came to Owensboro and they filmed a segment for 1031. Or not 1031, sorry, horror stories. So
Okay.
then after that, we ended up working with Rocky, who did the
Gray.
music. And from there, that is ultimately how I got involved with being part of the 1031 series. So that's kind of how I got to be, involved with those films. Which initially it was I was a bit more. One of the sequences for the first film, the one in the roller skating rink.
One of the best ones.
So that was John Holt, who also worked on horror stories, and Eric, who's my producing partner. He both of us, we went that day when they were filming that sequence,
Okay.
and I was already an executive producer on the project. And then, of course, I got the cameo with the toilet lid on my head. But I'm like, I'm in the background. It's kind of like a blink and you'll miss me kind of a cameo. So so I wasn't really involved with there was one, I'm brain farting, but there's one that I wasn't involved with because at the time I was working on other things. And then I came back around and it was 1031. I believe it was 1031 part 3 is the
Okay.
one that I came back around and was more heavily involved.
Right.
So
yeah, such a good series. That roller skating ring and the haunted house one I thought was really good. Like I don't just absolutely loved them. And Justin's such a nice guy.
oh yeah, he's super cool.
I
I love Justin to death.
I got to meet him. I was DJing out at Duda's Haunted Farm for their first annual Bloodfest, and I happened to look out in the crowd, and I saw Zane, and I was like, no shit, I gotta go talk to him. So I was over talking to Zane. Then Justin came over, and then him and I bullshitted for a little while, and and then that's when they kind of let it spill to me, which I was like, I felt like in the know at the moment. I was like, yes, this is cool. I feel inside now. But then they said, yeah, we're actually here scouting out for the Barn 3. And I was like, oh, are you serious? I said, you definitely need to like talk to Roy. You know, Roy, he runs this, and like, I'm sure that you guys can work something. And of course, sure enough, it was shot there. So such a
That's awesome.
badass thing. So all right, so getting into New Year's Eve. I keep saying New Year's Eve. I'm sure. Do you do that often? Do you, when you say your own film, do you like do New Year's? I mean, no. But yeah, New Year's Eve. So like this movie is just crazy. So first of all, it has Felissa Rose in it and Dave Sheridan. And if anybody, well, if you're living under a rock, you don't know who Felissa Rose is, get a clue. Go watch Sleepaway Camp. And Dave Sheridan, like he's a chameleon. Like you put him in any movie and he can just switch it up on you, and he could be a totally different character. He's such a phenomenal actor. What was it like working with those guys?
I mean, working with both of them was great, and they killed it in their respective roles. Like they both did such a good job. I mean, Felissa, just in general, have you met Felissa?
I have not.
Okay, she's a sweetheart. Very generous, very funny, down to earth. I mean, she brings this like enthusiasm to set that's just infectious for everybody that's around her.
I could see that.
And then you know, Dave is just really funny, and he's always on. And the funny thing about Dave is he really likes to ad lib. So, which I would say about 90% of what's in the movie is scripted, and then the rest of it is like stuff that he made up while we were filming, because we would start a scene and then he would go off on this tangent, and a scene that should have only taken us maybe like, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes to actually film the scene, like the office scene, for example.
Yeah.
He would start throwing stuff at the other actors. Now you got to remember, like Turner and Matthew, Turner's done theater. Matthew had done nothing.
Okay.
And Turner had done a few short films, but other than that, they really did not have any experience with like a major. Turner had done major roles in theater, but regardless, you stuck to the script. So
right.
They're not what I would consider like, they're not ad-libbers. It's not whose line is it anyway. So Dave would go off script and start throwing stuff at them, and they were scrambling to keep up. and then we get to a point where they wouldn't know what to say, so then they would just find a way to come back to the script that would then bring Dave back to the script. They would do like a series of lines from the script, and then Dave would veer off. So a scene that should have only taken like 4 or 5 minutes to film, or a take were like 12 to 15 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
Oh god.
Well, when we filmed Dave and Felissa and even Jeffrey Reddick, creator of Final Destination, came in that weekend, we had to film all their stuff. It was a very big weekend. We had to film 23 pages in about a day and a half, and 10 kills, and 32 Indiegogo contributor stuff, like scenes. So,
wow.
Yeah, it was insane. And so what happened is on a Sunday is when we filmed that office scene. So it's all Felissa, it's all Dave's from their angle. We didn't film the other two. We didn't film their stuff until like 3 weeks later from their angle. And by then, I hadn't gone through and tried to figure out, like, because we're filming other stuff. So I wasn't going through all of Dave's takes and trying to figure out what worked and what didn't. So they had to basically stick to the script. So when I got into the editing room, there was only so much I could keep ad-lib wise.
Right.
And there were some hilarious takes of things that Dave said that I wasn't able to use that hit the cutting room floor because there was just no way to put it in there because there was no way for them to react to what he was saying or have a response to what he was saying.
Right. Well, I saw that you had made a post the other day on social media stating, hey, if I were to put out a Blu-ray or a physical copy of this. So if you put out a physical copy, is this something that could potentially make it to the a blooper reel on there as a bonus scene?
Ooh.
Bonus feature?
I don't know, but that's a really good idea. That is a really good.
I guarantee people would love that.
Here's the funny thing. So like, and this is just because I love bloopers.
Mm-hmm.
And
bloopers are the best.
But so I'm a big blooper fan. Like if I go to special, first of all, I love special features. But secondly, like if I go to special features on a disc, first thing I go to is bloopers. So everybody asks, especially like those who got, because right now the only physical version of the movie on Blu-ray is from the Indiegogo campaign. So that's what we're getting ready to ship out. Okay. And I've been asked a lot, is it going to have a blooper reel? And then people have asked, if the film gets a wide release, is it going to have a blooper reel? And here's the sad thing. No. And the reason being, we really did not have many bloopers. Like you would think making a comedy, you would have a shit ton of bloopers. But I've gone through all the footage.
Yeah.
And the amount of bloopers that I was actually able to pull out from the footage was not enough to make like a blooper reel.
Huh.
That's great though.
So it was, it was. So it really wasn't even worth the time it would have taken me to. So what I ended up doing was, now there is a lot of footage of like the cast and crew goofing off on set.
Yeah.
And I pulled all of that footage and made it into like a music video using the theme song that Eric had written and put together with Josh O'Ryan, who was our boom guy. And
can't wait to check
we already put that. That's actually already out there. So like you can see that. But as far as like a blooper reel,
interesting.
There isn't. Yeah.
Interesting. So what led you into, of course, Kevin Smith was a inspiration for you. But writing New Year's Eve, what was your inspiration for writing that?
I wouldn't say like, okay, so going into the writing of the story, so what had happened, we were in the middle of making 13 Slays Till Christmas, and I was driving somewhere, and the title New Year's Eve just like popped into my head, and I thought, well, that's kind of a cool title, but I didn't think much more about it than, at the time I was like, oh, it could be another anthology, because the way we worked at the time, we were mostly doing anthology because just logistically with us filming on the weekends, it made more sense for us to be able to do that, do it that way. So all of our films up to New Year's Eve had been anthologies. So I came up with the basic concept, which was, there's a movie called New Year's Eve. It's about three best friends who each are being stalked by a serial killer, and they get together at a party, a New Year's Eve work party, and they each take turns. This is very similar to like 13 Slays Till Christmas in terms of like how the stories come about, but it's like they each take turns telling a story that happened to them leading up to them coming to the party, and they all survive the events. But like one of them, ironically, one of them was going to be about how their car is haunted, and so it's like a haunted house in a car on their way to this party. So all these like supernatural things happen. So it's kind of like, I haven't seen the movie Passenger, but when I watched the trailer to Passenger, I'm like, oh, that is almost in a lot of ways like the idea I'd come up with for one of these characters on their way to the party. And what happens is as they tell the stories and they survive, they realize that there's one common element, and that is that they come across this killer at some point, and that's kind of just like a small detail. So once they've each told their story, they're like, oh shit, wait a minute, you saw the killer in, you know, such and such mask. And at the time it wasn't a plague doc. I didn't have the idea for the plague doctor or anything,
but it was
just some killer
idea.
that they each recognized by the time the stories were all told. It's like, wait a minute, you saw this person? Oh, you saw this person? And then the final story was going to be how this killer who was stalking them follows them to this party. And then the ending of the film, the final story is, which is part of the wraparound, is a slasher movie. And so that was the original concept for New Year's Eve.
That's cool.
Now, I went to Eric, and Eric's like, we got to finish 13 Slays Till Christmas. Stop fucking trying to make us make another movie right now. Like, we should be focusing on this. And I was like, okay, perfect. No, that's fine. So we shelved it, and it sat. Like, I didn't do anything with it. I didn't come up with any other ideas. I didn't even write anything down. Like, typically when I come up with a concept, it stays in my head until finally I can motivate myself enough to write something, you know?
I get that.
So the long and the short of it is, by the time we got to the point in which it was, and I promise I'll answer your question here in a second.
Oh,
but by the time we got to the point in which it was like, okay, we're making New Year's Eve next, 13 Slays Till Christmas did really well for us. It got a lot of attention, and in terms of sales and stuff, like, it did really well. So Eric came to me and said, hey, it just kind of makes sense that, you know, we did really well with one holiday film. The next holiday is New Year's, and you came up with a New Year's horror film. So what was the idea for that again? But the other thing too is, Eric and I had wanted to do a lot of firsts. So I told him, what if, like, we always wanted to do a single narrative feature.
Okay.
And I was like, what if this wasn't an anthology? What if instead of doing another anthology, we make a single narrative? Mm-hmm. He's like, well, what about the logistics and this, that, and the other? And I said, well, let's do this. I said, I'll write the story, and then we'll make the decision afterwards. And he was like, okay, fine. And at the time I was like, I have a problem not injecting humor into whatever I'm writing, because me personally, that's how I cope with serious things.
Sure.
I make jokes about it. I kid you not. And this is going to sound awful, and I completely understand it, but like, I have lost 2 children. So my way of coping with it is I would make jokes about it, which some people laugh because it's dark humor, or just from the shock value of having. And then you have other people who are like, what is wrong with this person?
Right.
You know? And it's the same thing like when my mom was going through cancer, and she inevitably passed in 23. But like, I got that sense of humor from my grandmother, from my mom. Like, that sense of humor, like, was in it's like a family history of dark humor.
Right.
So even though my mom is essentially dying of this disease, like, we would make jokes about it and she'd laugh about it. She didn't love the fact that she was going through this, or that she knew especially there in the end, she knew it was over with. Like, she wasn't going to beat it. But like, she would when she was able to, we would still make light of it, because you could do one of two things. Life comes with good and with bad.
Yep.
And when it's bad, sometimes it's real bad. And you can curl up in the fetal position and feel defeated and be defeated. Or you can look at it and you could say, what is something I can do that will make this maybe not as sad? What power do I have over this? And that's jokes.
Yeah.
And not everybody's funny. And I'm not saying that I'm like a stand-up comedian or anything, but one of the abilities I do have, I think, is to be humorous. So I've always found that through humor, I can make people laugh or make people smile, even in times of dire straits. So, um, so, but with this film, I was like, it's going to be pure atmosphere, New Year's Eve, pure atmosphere, pure tension, pure horror. Because like I said, up to that point, everything we had done, while it was horror, there was always some moments, a lot of moments of humor.
Mm-hmm.
So then I sit down, I start writing it. And as I'm writing it, I started using it as a way, because at this point, like, my mom had already been diagnosed with lung cancer. She was going through all of that. I'd lost my grandmother to dementia, who was the whole reason that I was even into horror at the time. I'd gone through this terrible divorce. I saw how it was affecting my children. So, like, writers write what they know. And I put a lot of that into the narrative. Now, I will say, if you've watched the film, a lot of it gets lost in translation because I put such a thick layer of dick and fart jokes in the movie that there are quite a few people who are not picking up on a lot of that stuff.
Right.
But there's a lot of but if you really sit down and watch the film and listen to the themes and listen to the conversations that are happening, you will pick up on all of that.
And I am definitely going to go back and rewatch it now.
Well, I was going to say, so the movie is about a lot of stuff. It's about grief and loss and even gain, relationship reconciliation.
Yeah.
Which a lot of that I put in because also at the time, through the divorce, I reconnected with a high school sweetheart her name is Leslie. She's now my wife. And so her character is based off of, like, Leslie in the movie is based off my now wife.
That's amazing.
And there's a lot of our story in there too. At the time that we were trying to make things, that we were getting back together, there was an ex-boyfriend of hers that popped up into the scenario, and his name was Nick.
Oh shit.
And he was a piece of shit. Right. And it's this whole thing, but he actually died in real life in the middle of all this stuff. It's a whole thing. I could go on. Honestly, I could make a movie that wasn't even a horror film about just us trying to get back together. That would be a movie in itself. But I put as much of it as I could that would work into New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of these themes and a lot of these stories and conversations and all that in the movie. So at that point, as I'm writing this stuff, I'm also using humor as a way to cope with it and talk about it. So, and then of course I just have dark, there's an abortion joke in the movie, and there's some gay jokes in the film, and I'm one of those people where I think the most inclusive thing you can do is punch up or punch down.
Yep.
As long as it's not coming from a place of malice, you're simply just trying to be funny.
Thank you.
I don't see anything wrong with it at all. Everything and anything should be made light of or made fun of.
Yep.
Yeah.
Obviously, to some degree, you have to know your audience. I'm not just going to run into some stranger's room who's at the hospital who had just had a heart attack, who I don't know, and start making heart attack jokes at this total stranger who's like in ICU about to die, and his whole family there is like, who the fuck is this guy? And why is he making fun of my dad? Like, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
But at the same time, I feel like if you're an audience and you're trying to watch something, you need to do your due diligence to know what you're about to watch. And if you get offended by something, it's not my fault. That's your fault.
I agree. I agree. I
Yeah.
always like, and I always say that it's like going to a, like you can't go into a tattoo parlor and expect um politically correct speech, so to speak.
Right,
It's like
right.
you have to know your, like you said, you need to know your audience. You need to know where you're going and where you're at, because you can easily just remove yourself from that situation if you don't want to watch or be part of it. It's not that hard.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so there's a an intern at the office. Now she's about 20 years younger than me, and she is the total opposite. And where she doesn't like certain words, she doesn't like certain types of humor and all that. And I was having a conversation with her about it one day, and I said, "Look, I said I like that stuff, the stuff that you don't like,
Hmm.
but that doesn't make it wrong. Just like I don't think you're wrong that you don't like it. I'm not going to look at you and say, how can you not laugh at that? I
Right.
get it, you're different, and that's fine. Neither one of us are wrong. We just have different sensibilities. And I think that's, the pendulum is definitely swinging the other way. But there was a period of time there where it was like, if you laughed at certain things or you thought certain things were funny or whatever, it was like you were wrong, you were bad, you're a Nazi or a bigot.
Right.
And I'm like, no, you're none of those things just because you laugh at something that's dark.
Yep. It's
Now, if you wholeheartedly believe those things, if you hate someone for the color of their skin, or you hate someone because they're gay, or you hate a woman because you think that a woman is lesser than you because you're a man, then you've got a problem. Like,
yes.
yeah, those are piece of shit ways of thinking.
Yes.
Yes, if you truly honestly believe those things. But if you don't and you make jokes about it, I don't see anything wrong with that. But anyway,
I think that
I'll get
is like the
I'll get down off the pedestal.
no, that is like you can stay up there, dude. I absolutely I could not agree with you more, because those are things that I try to say, and just I it just when I start to say something, it's like, oh, just shut up, or or let's just change the topic, because we're just both gonna end up arguing with each other.
Right.
But I'm like you, where
Right.
it's just like I don't judge. Like, actually, just this is just something kind of random. Like, not long ago, I had a guest on the Lights Camera Pop show, where he had he was able to nominate Kevin Smith for a Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Yeah.
And I was trying to get this out to like as many people as possible. And there was my local official page where I'm at in Scottsdale, PA, and I put it in there, and this guy like attacked me, was like, "Oh, you just go love your comic books and stuff like that." I'm like, dude, like, me
What?
liking comics and movies is like you watching NASCAR and and sport and football.
Right.
Like, it's the same thing. Like, and like, have at it. You're if you want to
Right.
be mad at
And as
me,
we all know, it doesn't get any gayer than NASCAR.
right? Oh, absolutely right.
You just lost every NASCAR fan that you ever had
Believe me,
in that one moment.
I don't think any NASCAR fans are listening anyway, so it's fine.
Take that,
So-
Dale Earnhardt.
Right?
And see,
Well,
that's one of my favorite things that I do. So like my youngest, who just turned 15, and it's funny because I'll do this. We'll be somewhere around somebody, and Connor will say something. It doesn't matter what it is. We'll be standing there, and he'll be like, "Hey, can I go over here and listen to this music or whatever?" And I'll look at him and I'll go, "No, son of mine is gay." Just out of nowhere. And he thinks it's hilarious. But sometimes, like, the person we're with, it's usually somebody I know, but even then, like, somebody, like, they don't get it because it's so random.
Yep.
And they'll be kind of like, whoa,
My
what's
son.
happening? Am I caught in the middle of some weird family drama? And then we'll laugh, and they kind of get it that it's, even if it's not their cup of tea, they realize, like, oh, okay, yeah.
So,
All right, it's just some stupid thing between them.
well, and it's funny
It's
because
fine.
my son and I are the same way. We used to work together too, and when we would deliver and install copiers, and we would go into places and people were just like blown away by the way we would act with each other. And it was like two friends working at an oil field, and you know how that goes. And,
Oh yeah.
people are just like,
and it's funny because it takes a lot to shock me, and it takes a lot to offend me. It's almost impossible to offend me.
Like I'm kidding.
I mean, it's like even if a perfect stranger came up to me and was like making fun of the fact that I have two children that I lost, I wouldn't be like, oh, and clutch my pearls, you know. I would just be like, what? Like it would throw me off, but I wouldn't say that I would be offended, that I'm offended by it, you know. Right. I had a point that I was trying to make. I totally lost it. It was about Connor, but I try not to talk about my kids very often because they disappoint me. So, that's what it was. So Connor is almost exactly like me, which can be funny because he has my sense of humor, but at the same time, there are moments where he'll say something or do something that even catches me off guard, but I'm almost always like, now that was funny. and here, my wife is in the room, so I know she knows where this is going. And I won't give like a lot of detail here, but the problem with our house is we share a vent with Connor's room.
Oh no.
So there are times where we do things that, you know, husbands and wife do.
Yeah.
You know,
play Xbox.
Things with oils and anal.
Oh, okay.
And
Monopoly.
Risk.
So I feel really bad for him because when he can't not hear stuff, because I mean, I've stood underneath this vent when he's in there like playing games and things, and it's like he's standing right next to me. So what'll happen is he'll hear what's happening in the room, and then an hour later, you know, after whatever, he'll eventually come out of his room to go get water or something, and he'll stop in the doorway, and then he'll repeat something that maybe was said, and then he'll have this look, he'll shake his head with this look of disappointment, and it's always something that was real, like disgusting in the heat of the moment kind of a thing. And Leslie's just like, oh God. She gets super embarrassed.
Well,
it
happens.
Always stuff I say.
That's true. It's usually stuff she says. Yeah. So, but I will tell you, and this goes back to this horror stuff. So I took Connor to go see Smile 2. I don't know if you all have seen that or not.
I have not watched it yet.
So there's a part in the movie where the main girl, she's being attacked by all these entities, basically. And this ghost comes up and sticks their hand into her mouth and then like shoves their arm all the way down her throat. So like all the way up to like her elbow. And right in the middle of that scene, Connor leans over and goes, I bet Leslie can't do that.
Oh, please tell me you had a quick rebuttal.
Actually, my rebuttal was, she really doesn't have to. And so we start laughing, and you know, and it's like in the moment in the movie, it's like during this what's supposed to be a horrifying moment, and then the two of us are sitting here laughing because he's making these inappropriate like blowjob comments about his stepmom. So yeah, that's the relationship that I have with my 15-year-old.
I love it.
I'm thinking about people in the theater. Like people are like, "Oh my God, this moment is so horrifying." Why are those two guys laughing over there?
Yeah, if anybody at the church I go to listens to this conversation, they'll probably ask me not to come back. They'll be like, "Look, in lieu of the building catching fire, we're going to need you to stay home and watch our live feed."
Well, I will say though, your wife Leslie, she puts on a great performance in the film. But yeah, the Brian and Moses.
Well, that wasn't actually her in the movie. That was an actress.
I thought it was her in the movie. I apologize.
No. If that was actually her, I'd be damn near a pedophile.
Oh, okay. Well, I apologize for
Yeah,
that.
no, you're fine. No, Lily, Lily Claire Harvey plays the Leslie role in the movie, and she's great in the role. But yeah, she's like 25 years younger than I am. So,
well, okay, so we'll move on from that. Yeah, but anyway, so she was great in the movie. But the Matthew and Tanner,
Turner,
Brian and Moses felt like, and I said this already, are like the Dante and Randall characters. Just absolutely phenomenal performances. And I don't want to give a lot away because I want people to go check this movie out. Real quick, where it's on Prime and Fossum.
yeah, it's on that. It's on Fandango, Roku channel, Zumo. It's on Screenbox. If anybody subscribes to Screenbox, it's on there because it did get picked up by Cineverse.
That's awesome.
And they're like a subsidiary of Cineverse. So yeah, it's on a whole bunch of different platforms and I think if you subscribe to Prime, it's free to watch. There may be ads, but either way, It's still like you don't have to actually rent it if you're a Prime subscriber.
Yeah, that's actually where I watched it on Prime.
Okay, cool.
And yeah, like I said, the one I want to say, like, I would love to talk about one of the death scenes, but I don't want to give too much away.
Honestly, I mean, at this point, we've talked about so much stuff publicly. I mean, it's been out there for over 6 months. So I'm not saying that like it's big enough that everybody should have watched it. But at the same time, if we talk about something and it makes someone go, oh, I definitely have to check this out, I don't care to talk about.
Fair enough.
Elements. So we were being very secretive about certain things, especially and this may be what you're talking about, the Kildo scene. Like we did not want to talk about that in the very beginning. We did everything we could, but then like as soon as it got out there, that and the toilet kill were like two of the ones that that were like everybody was already talking about on Letterboxd and on social media and stuff. So you can't really stop that from happening.
Right.
And at that point we were and then when I had to put a trailer together for the release of the movie, even they were like, you need to, it was basically told to me like, look, as a selling point, you should put part of the dildo kill in the trailer because people are going to go, oh, well, that's crazy. So, and that'll draw people in. So it's actually part of the Red Band trailer as well. You don't see like the money shot, but you get an idea of where things are going.
Well, people have to go watch it to get the money shot because it's wild. But yeah, for me, my favorite kill was Felissa Rose. The toilet scene was just so like I never would have thought about that. Like, of course, the closest that I've ever seen something like that, I almost went Mike Tyson, I think. But the in Machete when he just rips somebody's intestine out and jumps out of a window and goes swinging down to the next one. But this just toilet paper, intestine, toilet, flush. And after this, it was just, and then her performance while it was happening is just chef's kiss on it.
Oh yeah.
So,
it's funny because acting like you're in pain is extremely difficult because you're walking a very thin line because the look and sound of pain also can translate as to the look and sound of sex or orgasm. So legitimately seeing or appearing as if you're in pain is not an easy thing. And then you're put into a position where it's even more ridiculous, like the toilet kill. You're really treading the line there between what's possible, what's funny, and and then the fact that if this was real, it's like it's serious because someone's being murdered and you're watching someone die. So I think first and foremost, Felissa's performance during that kill is really what sells it. because she looks and sounds like she's suffering.
Yeah.
She really does. Like, her performance through that whole thing is phenomenal. Like, she does such a great job. And then on top of it, it's just a crazy, over the top, completely abnormal way of killing somebody. And then that's what takes it, I think, to the next level. And it's funny because, like, I always thought the Kildo was going to be the number one. Like, when I came up with the Kildo, when I wrote it, and then when we filmed it, every time I would look at Eric and go, if there is anything that people are going to remember about this movie, it's this death scene.
Oh yeah.
And I was wrong. It's the toilet kill. Like, that's the one that everybody talks about.
It was so good. And like, really, I mean, aside from the whole movie is so well written. And like, as we're starting to wind down, just the entire movie was so well written, and you can tell that you added the element of the anthology kind of aspect to it without making it an anthology. And I loved that. I love how you incorporated the way they had stories about earlier, because you didn't even see it coming, and it just kind of happened. And I was just like, that was smart. That was so smart.
Well, thank you. Well, you know, first of all, I love when you do so many interviews, a lot of questions or a lot of things that you talk about happen consistently, but occasionally you get asked about or you talk about something where you're like, I've been waiting for somebody to point that out, and you just did it. Because that was the original concept for the movie. Was that it was flashback stories. So whenever I sat down and wrote the script, I kept that portion specifically in the movie because, you know, up till then we were known as the guys who make anthology films. So I did want to have a moment that kind of harkened back to that a little bit, but at the same time it would break things up and it would expand the scope of the movie to where, because most of it does take place in an office building. And my concern is that it was going to feel not claustrophobic, but it was going to feel redundant because 85% of the film takes place at Hooper Industries.
Right.
So I tried to find ways every now and then throughout the story where we would get away from the building and we would go somewhere else. And then that opened it up to a bigger world and bigger possibilities and a much larger universe, because things don't just happen at this office building.
Right.
So when I sat down to write the story, I was like, I'm going to keep that one small anthology element as almost like an homage to the fact that originally that's what it was supposed to be. And you are literally the first person that I can think of who said something to me about that.
Yeah, it was, well, and I told you earlier, like, I'm a horror for anthologies. So immediately that was something that I picked up on, and I was just like, I love that. And like I said, it was written so well that it flowed so nicely. And
thank you.
Great job for that. And then
I appreciate
another
that.
thing too is, like, this is the actress, and I'm sure you had it written in there, but the way her delivery was, like, first of all, Ruth was such a cool character. And the moment that poor girl, like, she just kept, like, it was like a Benny Hill, like just a scene from Benny Hill. Like, I know you're too young to remember that, but it was like a sketch comedy where just everything started happening.
No. I grew up watching Ben. How old are you?
I'm going to be 50 in December.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You sound way younger than that. I'm 40. I'm 44. I'll be 45 eventually, but I'm 44. So you and I aren't too far.
No, not at all. Okay, so yeah, Benny Hill.
I grew up on like Monty Python, Benny Hill. Like, like OG Comedy Central
The good stuff.
is what I grew up
Kids
on.
in the Hall, things
Oh
like
yeah, oh, Brain Candy is such an underrated film, and I'm so glad it finally got put out, even on a bare bones
Right?
Blu-ray.
So I got to tell this story real quick, just because we're talking about brain candy. So I was a DJ in college, and we were playing pranks on each other. Well, this one kid that nobody liked, he was another DJ. I erased his promo that he would play during his show, and I recorded on there the Scott Thompson "I'm Gay" song.
Yeah.
And I recorded it and put it on his promo deck. So when he put it in, that's what played on the air. And yeah, I got in trouble for that. I got suspended for it, but it was worth it because it was good. But
what's funny is there. Oh, sorry.
No,
go
no,
ahead.
no, no. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say so me and my friends, the ones like that we made videos and stuff in school, like high school together, that was like we were all huge Kids in the Hall fans. So a lot of these comedy sketches and stuff that we did was based like it was based a lot off of that type of humor. Like there was a character we had or skit that we did called Guy in a Street Corner, and it was simply a guy who was always waiting for the bus. The bus never came, but he was always at this bus stop, and he would go, "Don't you hate midgets? They're just so gay." And then he'd turn and look, and it would be a dwarf standing next to him, and it was just like he has the worst foot and mouth disease. So anytime he was real grumpy, and it was just him telling whoever he's at the bus stop with what he hates the most in the moment, and it's inevitably it's always that thing that he's talking about. It's standing right next to him, and then he would just make this like, oh shit, he would have, and it was me. I was the character, but still, it was one of the skits that anytime anybody laughed. All the stuff we did in high school would get us canceled nowadays.
Oh yeah, easily.
We did another skit called Super Thing where me and this another friend of mine named Kevin, we played these two Asian guys trying to sell a product, and it's the most stereotypical Asian character, and we're doing the accents and everything.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm sure now it's like it would end our lives, our career, our professional careers. Like it would be over with if these videos got out. But yeah. So what I was gonna say is there was a time where I could get like all of us. It's at some point in your life you can do a very high pitched voice.
Yeah.
So we would take turns going, "I'm gay," and then see which one of us could hold the note for the longest before either our breath gives out or whatever, or our voice cracks. And we would take turns do it as we'd be in the car, and we would just be driving along, and we would start doing that. We'd sing the song, and each one of us would take a turn trying to outdo the other person who just sang "I'm gay" and holding that high pitched note.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway.
Classic. I love it.
I love that.
So anybody who listens to this interview, that is very much a lot of the comedy in New Year's Eve. So
Yes.
if you don't like that, there's a good chance you might like something else in the movie. So you should still check it out anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
But be warned. Be warned.
Well, and like back to Ruth though, like she gets hit once, the first time she gets hit. And then he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry," but her delivery with the next line, "Lucky for me, you hit like a Keebler elf."
She came up with that.
Did she? Okay, so it was just
so
it was
in the
so random.
in the script, it was something else.
In
the original, it was funny. So here's what happened. In the original script, it was, "Lucky for me, you hit like a Disney princess." Eric, in the moment, was like, "Do we really want Disney suing us?" And then my response is always, "Disney's not going to watch this damn movie." And so he gets really like, we need to be maybe a bit more cautious when naming certain like intellectual properties.
Mm-hmm.
So then, she came up with, and this is what I think is funny. We start throwing out ideas. Well, what could she say instead of Disney princess? Because just princess isn't funny. So it's like, what else could we do? And she said, luckily for me, you hit like a Keebler elf, and everybody's like, we love that. And Eric's like, do we really want Keebler to sue us? And I'm like, will you shut up? Let's just do the Keebler elf line because that's even funnier than Disney princess. I probably wasn't that mean when I said it to him, but either way, we did decide to go ahead and go with Keebler Elf, and she had come up with it, so we went with it anyway. Because I mean, let's be honest, is Keebler going to watch our movie and go, "Wait a minute"?
Hey, they may even had a boost in sales. So
Right, and see, typically when you see products and logos in films, the whole idea is that they give you money because it's free promotion.
right.
I mean, you can walk a fine line where if you're doing something with a certain product or a certain line, that yes, I could see where someone would be like, I really don't want my product or name associated with that. So that I get, but in the like what this moment was in the
Yes.
film, none of us really felt like it would be a problem. So we did go ahead and go with, because that's the way Eric and I, the way we run our sets, the way I've always been, even before Eric and I worked together. It's like I write the script and it's a structure for how the movie should go. And I mean, obviously, I want the actors to know what their lines are and to go by the lines,
Absolutely.
but I also want the performances to be as natural as possible. So it's I would say a majority of the lines, if there's a different way for you to say it, but you're still saying the same thing and it makes your performance better, then by all means do that.
Right.
And then there are times when we're filming where someone's like, oh, I've got an idea. And we say, what is it? And they'll say, oh, this, and they'll throw it out there. And if it's better than what we're doing, we would be stupid not to go with it, because all it's going to do is it's going to make the movie better.
And that's,
and plus when I'm editing, I also like in the editing room, I like to have options.
Mm-hmm.
So if for some reason we decide, well, maybe we won't go with that, we'll go back to what was originally there, then we can do that.
Right.
But we take, I mean, we'll take ideas from anybody. It can be from the person running craft services, a production assistant, the boom operator, and one of the actors. It's like, it's not a Bible in the sense that it's like no line can be changed whatsoever. And I know you do have those filmmakers and writers, that's how they feel, that's how they work, and that's fine. That's not how we do it.
And that's what sets you apart from everybody else. So,
right.
Yeah, kudos for that. So,
I appreciate it. And then anybody listening to this will be like, no wonder that script sucks.
They must have read a different script then, because I tell you what, when they go to Prime Video and they watch this, you'd think that I had a deal with Prime or something, as much as I said it. But
right. Well, it is. That's the funny thing about like when you make a movie, and it's been even more so with this one, because anytime you do something, I mean, you're not setting out to make something bad unless you are in fact trying to make something bad on purpose in the hopes that you're going to make something schlocky. But I think real schlock or real sleaze or any of that, it's not determined by the fact that you're trying to do that. It's
Right.
like you're trying to make a real movie. You're trying to do something that you think is good, and then it turns out to not be that, or at least by other people's perceptions, it's not that. So anytime you make something, you put it out there. I mean, there's people who love it, there's people who hate it. And the one thing that we've run into with this one is funny, because I called Jeffrey one night because I know he's dealt with this a lot more since, he wrote he created the Final Destination franchise. He's worked in the industry. He's worked for Netflix and Amazon, and he did the Day of the Dead remake. He wrote that script and stuff. So it's like he's really dealt with the good and the bad.
Yeah.
But after New Year's Eve came out, I mean, you always have your people who are like, man, I absolutely love this. It's fun. The writing is good, and this and that and the other. And then you have the other end, which is, obviously this person doesn't know how to write. It's terrible. It's not funny. The acting is poor. It, go so on and so forth. Well, the one thing we've never had, and that I experienced specifically with this movie, was I started having people like seek me out to verbally obliterate me as an artist on things.
What?
Like there was a total stranger who he rented the movie on Prime for $4.99, and then he hated the movie so much he sought me out on Facebook. I'm not friends with this guy at all. I had no mutual friends with him, nothing. Total stranger. He looked me up on Facebook. He found a post where I had posted a positive review, and then he proceeded to lambaste me, like personally, was like personally attacking me.
Wow.
On this post, because he was so mad that he spent $4.99 for this piece of shit and spent his time watching it, and he hated it that much.
That's
that
insane.
He found me. Yeah, that's a whole level of what that I had never really dealt with before.
Right.
And a perfect example, if you go onto IMDb, there is a girl who wrote a review on IMDb, and her review is attacking everybody else who left a positive review because she disliked the movie that much.
It takes the same amount of energy to be positive that it does to be negative. I cannot
That's crazy.
fathom this idea.
Yeah,
right
I don't.
now.
I mean, look, there was a time where I was a fanboy, and I mean, look, I've done and said some things where I was like, I look back at it and I'm like, I don't know why. Like, there was one time I met Ken Kersinger, and this was after Freddy versus Jason, and I met Ken Kersinger at a con, and it was at Horror Hound, and I remember telling him, like, going on and on about how I'm like, Jason wouldn't do this, and Jason wouldn't do that. Why would Jason do this? And why would Jason do that? And he finally looked at me and he goes, dude, I'm just doing what I was told. And now, granted, I'm in my early 20s at that point, but I'm doing kind of the same thing.
Right.
And it was when I started taking a step back and going, that's like a level of fanboy that you're treading some dangerous water. Yep. Because you're putting yourself in a position where it's like, is it really that important? Because now I look at these people who attack me or attack the film, and I'm thinking, or this goes for any of the projects that we've done. It's like, for one, I appreciate you actually took the time to watch it, but I can say I've never been so mad at a movie that I attacked the filmmaker like they shot my dad or something.
Right.
No, but that's crazy. Like, that's actual, like, crazy people.
That's like a whole other level.
So it's got to be like, I remember when The Strangers Pray at Night came out, and I really wanted to love that movie, but I didn't, because I thought the family made so many poor decisions. It was like they were trying to die. And I got so emotionally annoyed that after the movie was over with, I got on Facebook, and another friend of mine had posted about watching the movie and how much he really liked it. And then I got on there and was like, I trashed the movie. Well, are you familiar with Damien Maffei?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, he plays the baghead killer in that movie.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was him, but he got on there and defended the film. And then I'm like, dude, you have no idea what you're talking about. This and the other.
Oh no.
I'm like, it's a terrible film. I'm glad the family died. They're it's like, and my friend like private messaged me after my back and forth with him. And I wasn't really I'm one of those people on social media where I don't have so much emotion invested in it where I'm legitimately mad or whatever, but I will poke the bear. So I'll get very snarky.
Oh, of course.
And so I was being kind of snarky with a lot of my responses to Damien. And as far as I could tell, he was pissed, And then my friend messages me privately, and he's like, dude, do you know who that is that you just talked to? And I was like, no, who is it? And he's like, that's the guy that plays the baghead killer in the movie. And I was like, fucking oops. And then years, this is probably like 5 or 6 years later, we're at Scarefest and we have a booth, and we're in Celebrity Row. I think it was the year that Dave Sheridan, we were sharing a booth with him. Mm-hmm. And Damien was across the aisle, but like down 4 or 5 people. Oh. So I went over to his booth and I went, hey, I just want to introduce myself. I don't know if you remember this or not, but about 5 years ago, you and I had a back and forth about Strangers Pray at Night. And he did not remember it at all, but he laughed when I told him the story.
That's great. But
because I wanted him to know that I really wasn't a total psycho and POS.
Right.
And I wanted to just, and it was like we did have a moment. So I was like, I wonder if he remembers that. So I went over and talked to him. He was super cool. And we ended up talking like the rest of the weekend and stuff. And nice. Really, really cool guy. He didn't remember it. And he was like, no. He goes, man, I'm going to tell you right now, if you had done or said anything that really legitimately made me upset or mad, I would remember. And I was like, okay, cool.
That's great.
I said, well, I just wanted you to know I don't hate you either. So,
well, PJ, it has been amazing having you on. Like this conversation has been great. It started off like where it felt like an interviewee kind of thing, and it just gravitated toward just like how I always wanted the show to be, to where just a group of guys hanging out, talking horror and stuff. And that's you've been the perfect guest today.
Well,
what do you got coming up? You got anything coming up in the works that we can all look forward to?
Well, so Eric and I both are producers on The Barn Part 3, which is currently on the festival circuit. We went to the premiere a few weeks back in Pittsburgh, and the movie is awesome. Came out really good. We have cameos in it and things. It's a really fun movie. So if you're a fan of the Barn series, I think you're really going to like the new one that's out. So like I said, be watching out for it on the festival circuit. There's another film I'm producing called The Last Sleepover. It's kind of a revenge slasher film. It's in the process of they're finalizing shooting. I think there's like a couple pickup things they have to do, and then the film will go into post-production. So it'll probably be next year before it comes out. But Felissa's in that one. And then there's a short film that I'm a producer on. It's called Halloween. And Stephen Wolf is the director of that one.
Oh.
Tim Robinson is co-producing and everything, and they both wrote it together. And it's Felissa's in that one as well. And it's they're in the process of filming it. It's out in LA, so unfortunately I'm not cool enough to be on set because I'm so far away. But it's cool being a part of that. And I'm just right now we're still riding that momentum with New Fear's Eve, and I have finished the script for the sequel.
Uh-oh.
The beginning of is funny because it takes me a while to get motivated to really sit down and write.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like the writing process, but when I want to, I know I need to write something, but then I'll go to do it, and then I'm like, man, I could write, or I could watch Chud. Or I could watch House by the Cemetery, or I could watch Shockwaves, or The Prowler, or Madman, or Hell Night, something else that's not writing, even though I've seen these other movies like 1,000 times.
Yep.
So much so that my wife Leslie hates Shockwaves at this point because I watch it so much. Like I'm one of those people where I watch the same horror movies over and over again when I go to bed at night. I'm one of those people. Yep. And I watch Shockwaves at night. There's something about the music and just the way the way it plays out and the audio and everything. So like I'll pop it in and like she'll be laying there. I think she's asleep. And then the Shockwaves music will come on and I'll hear her go, "Oh shit." He knows that she's about to have to fall asleep listening to Shockwaves.
The hounds of hells are going crazy right
So
now.
anyway, so I got on the phone with Eric and Jeffrey, and Jeffrey was like, "You need to listen to Eric, and you need to write the script." So I sat down. I finally was like, "All right, fine." So I sat down, and I wrote the script in about 2 weeks.
Nice.
And I gave it to Eric, and it's funny because I say that a lot. I say I'm picking up that I say it's funny a lot, even though it may not be funny. But we were on our way to Pittsburgh for the premiere of The Barn and 3. And up to that point, Eric had read the script, but he hadn't said anything to me about it. So in my mind, I'm thinking he hates it because it is a lot different than the first movie.
Okay.
Like I lean a lot heavier into the comedy. I lean a lot more into the serious storylines and things. Like it has far less deaths in it. They're more elaborate, but there's less kills in the movie. It's more story driven than anything.
I can't wait.
So in my mind, I'm thinking he totally hates it.
Uh-huh.
And I finally asked him on the way there, and he goes, "Look, before I say anything, I know how you are, and I know how you get. So I'm just letting you know advanced. I need you to put your ego aside." And I say, "Oh, okay." Because at that point, I'm thinking, "Oh shit, he does hate it." Because he's expecting me to be upset with the things he's about to tell me.
Right.
He goes, "Look, I've read everything you've written, even some things we haven't made. And I have to say," and he goes, "it hurts me to say this, but it's literally the best script you've ever written."
I cannot
And I went,
wait.
Yeah, I went, "What?" He goes, "Dude, I'm telling you, it is by far the best script you've written." He said, "I thought you did a pretty good job balancing the humor and the comedy and the story and all that in the first one." He said, "But this script is a perfect balance of comedy, drama, horror, all of it. Perfect balance." And I was like,
And
"Thank you."
definitely a great
So-
compliment.
Oh yeah, coming from Eric, because Eric is. I'm not
Brutally
saying
honest.
he's hard to please, but he and I have been. First of all, he and I work together very well,
Mhm.
and so I mean he's brutally honest with his opinions when we do stuff, because I mean you need to do that with people who are creative. There are some people that like they have a very difficult time taking criticism
Right.
at any level. But in my opinion, criticism, you can always take it with a grain of salt, but listen to it, because at times you really will pull a nugget of something that's worthwhile or useful out of it.
Right.
Especially if it's coming from somebody who now, if it's like your mom or or friends who are just like, "Oh dude," like they love everything you do all the time, it's a lot. It can be harder to take their opinion into consideration. Not that it doesn't matter,
Right.
but they're going to support you and love what you do just because they have that emotional connection. I'm not saying that Eric and I don't have that emotional connection, but he's not going to say he loves something or I've done a great job, and vice versa, just because we're so close and good friends.
For sure.
Like we're going to say we want people to pick it apart because you want it to be as good as you possibly can make it. So the fact that he was like, he handed me the script. He goes, "All my notes are in there." The only notes he really had in the script that he handed me were grammatical errors.
That's fantastic.
I was like, "Oh." So, but now I'm waiting on Jeffrey to read it, and he's like heavy in the middle of this series that he's working on, so he's been super busy and hasn't had a chance to read it. But because of how much Eric loved it, I'm just expecting Jeffrey to come back and be like, "This is worse than my Day of the Dead remake."
I have a feeling that I have a feeling that this is not going to happen. So you will have nothing to worry about. PJ,
Well,
where can everybody
fingers
find you
crossed.
at? I don't know if you heard me. Where can everybody find you at?
Oh, so you can go to bloodmoonpictures.com. That's our official website. You'll find out more than you ever wanted to know about myself, Eric, our films, all the press on them. There's links to how you can watch them. Of course, we're on social media: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm kind of, me personally, I'm kind of new to Instagram. I've done very little on there, and somehow still managed to get like 400 something followers. So that's been kind of cool.
Oh, for sure.
But I'm still trying to find my footing on that platform. But yeah, so like, yeah, Blood Moon Pictures 15. New Fear's Eve movie is on Instagram as well. So it's like you can pretty much find us on most of the major platforms, except Blue Sky
Except
or Truth Social.
Oh, right.
we try to keep out of politics and stuff, but
I agree. That's the best way to be.
with yeah, I agree. But sometimes they, the also, but with the type of humor we have, like it does kind of fall into like the politics arena because now everything is politics.
Yep.
Even if we don't have a political stance, some people still look at it like that. But
Exactly.
that's just nature of the beast, I guess.
You are absolutely correct.
Yeah. Oh, and Grinder. You can check us out on there.
Oh, good. Awesome. So I'll add that to my account.
Yep. Swipe up and down repeatedly. And and help us come.
All right. That sounds like a perfect way to end the show.
I wish I could send you a picture of my wife's face. The look on her face just now when I said that, she's like, "Oh my God."
Oh.
She's shaking her head like a sad mother.
Apologize to them because you're an idiot.
There you go. That's a very solid endorsement.
Brian, where can everybody find you at, sir?
You can all find me on Instagram, just at Brian the Misfit.
And you can follow us at Lights Camera Pop, Lights Camera Pop Pod, and the horror of it all. I'm waiting to get a new logo redone, courtesy of 1331 Studios. And I want to give a big shout out to Mr. Mike Smith of Nomad _ collectibles, _ comics Wow, usually he's the one messing it up. Now it's me, and it's his own thing, and he messes. But now, but yeah, Mike, you're up in Akron right now and selling those funny books up there. So I hope you had a good show, and we'll be back at you with another episode later this week. But for now, thanks for everybody for staying spooky with us, and we'll be seeing you real soon. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.